Tonight's recipe is in this book right here, Cooking Around the World, page 22 in the appetizer chapter. So if you look at step number 1, is thaw the package of phyllo pastry. And we just want to make sure that it's not stuck together. Sometimes if you thaw it too quickly, like just leave it on your counter, they'll get stuck together. Okay, so the most ideal situation is 48 hours in the refrigerator. Okay, and that way it thaws it really slowly, less chance of that happening. There's still a chance, okay, but there's less chance. Just leave it in the package. Don't take it out of the package. I want to show you something about taking it out of the package and getting it ready. We're going to set up our whole area and get this underway and show you how easy this is. Does it take some time? Yes, it takes some time, but it's worth it. The other thing I want you to have standing by, and not that we're going to use it right this second, but I want you standing by and getting it ready. Get a clean tea towel. And I want you to get this under the tap, cold water, and wring it out as best you can. There's a reason for this, and I'll tell you that in a second. But get it completely soaked, and then most importantly, wring it out hard as you can. You don't want a lot of moisture in there. You just want it to be damp. And then just leave that standing by in a big ball, and we will deal with that soon. Let's show you now how we're going to organize this. I'll show you how to open the pastry and all this stuff. So right now your pastry should still be in the box. If it's out of the box, that's fine. I'm going to show you how to set everything up. We need another cutting board, okay, for the pastry. So I'm going to have that standing by right here in front of me. If your board like moves around, a little pro tip for you, get your dishcloth damp and put that underneath, nice and flat like that, so it doesn't move. Over to the right or left of your board, depending on your setup in your kitchen and whether you like to work left to right or right to left, I want you to have the filling. I want you to have the melted butter with your pastry brush. Over at the end, I want you to have a baking sheet with parchment paper that we're going to use to put our finished product on and get them in the oven. And the only thing we're missing now is the phyllo pastry. So get all this ready first before we even bust open that phyllo pastry. I'll get mine from the fridge, and we're going to now open up this package. And there's a way I open this up. If you were in my class for the Spanakopita last year, then you have worked with this with me before. But all I'm doing is I'm taking out of the package, right? Here's what I want you to do with the box. There's always a seam in the box. Okay, find where the seam is. See that? And bust open the box on that seam. Run your finger all the way down. We're actually going to use this as part of the base to help keep the pastry from sticking to our countertop. So I'm going to put it there. We're going to get into the bag. Come on now. There we go. And it'll come in like a bag like this. You just take that part off, discard that. You don't need that. It's all good. And then it's always almost like this plastic. Okay, and we want to take it out of the plastic, lay the plastic down like overlapping with the cardboard. So we have the cardboard, then we have the plastic, and then we're going to unfold our pastry and lay it on there. So it's not touching the counter directly. Okay, it just gives that a little bit of protection. Now working with phyllo, first of all, you're going to notice they're very thin sheets. This stuff dries out so fast, and there's a lot of misinformation online that'll tell you to put a damp towel. Don't do this. Don't do this. They'll tell you to put a damp towel on there. I don't want you to do that. I know we had the damp towel standing by, but what happens is you put the damp towel on there. If you haven't wrung it out enough, it's going to make those sheets wet. They're going to all start sticking to each other. You're going to be cursing at me. You're going to be cursing at the pastry. It's not going to be fun. So don't do that. What I want you to do instead is take some more parchment paper first, get a big sheet of it, and put that on top of the pastry. Okay. And then put the damp towel on top of there. Okay, so you might be thinking, well, what good does that do, Dez, if the damp towel is supposed to be there to try and keep it from drying out, but it's not even touching the pastry? Because what it's going to do, because it's damp, it's heavy, and it's going to help create more of an air barrier on that pastry on top of the parchment. So again, just to recap, the phyllo pastry, then the parchment, and then the damp towel on top of there, just to help keep the air away from the pastry. Okay, trust me, that's the best way to do it. We're going to take one sheet of phyllo. Now look at this stuff. It's really, really thin. Just be careful with it. If it rips, don't panic. It's all good. Take one sheet out, cover it back again with the parchment and the towel, because it's going to dry out fast in between you taking sheets off, okay? So keep it like that. And then what I want you to do, you're laying it on the board. You have the long side facing you. We're going to butter the right side, okay? So just take your melted butter, pastry brush. You don't need a lot of butter. You just want to have a little bit of a coating on there. So get some good blobs on there. And then just take your pastry brush and you're just doing the right side only, folks. And just move that butter around so you have it completely just, you know, barely coated. Then you're going to take the left half, the unbuttered side, and fold it over the right. I want you to then butter the bottom half, not the top half. So all we did was fold left to right. That's all we did. And now we're buttering the bottom half. Again, just putting some on there, moving it around. And then we're going to take the unbuttered top half and fold it onto the buttered bottom half. Without moving it, rotating it, or anything, I'm just going to move it so you can see it better. We're going to then make a vertical cut in half to make 2 portions. So we're not doing a horizontal cut. We're making a vertical cut to make 2 portions, 1 and 2. And then what we're going to do at this point, we're going to put 2 tablespoons of filling on each one. Level tablespoons. More is not good because you're going to have trouble rolling them if you have it too full of filling. So 2 tablespoons level on each one, and then we'll go to the rolling part. Here's a good pro tip for you. We're going to now turn it so that the longer end is facing you. Okay, so I'm going to turn both of them. But here's what I want you to do with the filling. Watch this. We know what a spring roll looks like in the end, so we just want to organize that filling to be a little bit more oblong like that, to look like what the filling should look like. Instead of having it all like a big pile like that, we're just going to straighten it out a little bit. Then we're going to take the bottom of the pastry, fold it up over the top, and we're going to roll it burrito style, which means that we tuck in the ends, okay, fold in the ends like this and like that, okay, and then we continue rolling it away from us to make our spring roll. At that point, you put it on your parchment lined baking sheet and immediately butter it, because again, we don't want that to dry out, and you butter it on the parchment like so, okay? And we just keep building them and put them there. You don't need butter there to seal it. It's good. Don't do it too tight. You'll notice that the pastry is going to rip if you do it too tight, but just so it comes together. And again, if you're struggling with that, go a little bit less filling. Maybe you're doing too much of a rounded measure. It should be 2 level tablespoons on each one. And the reason why we butter one side and then we lift the other side, it's so hard to lift it, the side that which has the butter on it, because it's heavier with the butter and it's wet almost, more chance of it ripping. So we instead take the unbuttered side and we fold it over the buttered side. And the reason why we do all these steps of the buttering and the folding and the buttering and the folding is because we want to create these nice flaky layers in our spring roll. Because we're baking them in the oven with the phyllo, this is what we have to do in order to create a great crunch and presentation in our finished dish. Now, we're going to do more. I just want to show you guys these cooked. So I'm going to pop these in the oven. Now I have it on convection, so I'm going to go with the 20 minutes. It says 20 to 25. Until golden brown is what you're looking for, okay? And don't panic. Like you'll see this one's like ripped here. Look at this hole in there. Don't panic about that. It's very forgiving. Don't start getting upset or, you know, crying or something because your phyllo pastry is ripping. It's all right. It's all right. Just pretend it didn't rip. Just put it there and just keep going. Yeah, you got it. Man, I mean, let's be honest, right? You could put butter and pastry, an old shoe would taste good. I mean, so anything you wrap inside this pastry is going to taste amazing. So literally after it's buttered, it's really important that after it's buttered on that baking sheet with the parchment paper, then you either bake it or you place that in the freezer and you freeze them like that with the butter on there. That's going to help for the browning process when you do go to cook them from frozen, and it's going to make it easier to get them off the pastry or off the parchment paper when it's time. Now, if you are choosing to freeze them instead of bake them all off tonight, you have to remember that you're not going to thaw them first before baking them off. Literally, I want you to get your oven preheated first, 375 still, same temperature. Get your sheet pan with parchment paper and then take them frozen and just place them frozen on the sheet pan and pop them directly in the oven. They may be from fresh to cook them 20 to 25 minutes. You may be 23 to 27 minutes, but all you're looking for is that visual, that golden brown visual. And I tell you in there, you're looking for them to be golden brown. As soon as they're golden brown, hey, take them out of the oven, you're done. It's good. But right from frozen, don't thaw them. You're wasting your time and your efforts, and you're going to damage the texture. You're a lot better off baking them from fresh like this today, or from directly cold frozen. And hey, don't get me wrong, anybody can go to the store. I mean, I've seen them frozen, right? You can just buy a box of frozen spring rolls, right? Pop them in your oven, you're done. I get that's easier, but you're going to have so much more pride. These are going to taste a heck of a lot better. You're going to be able to brag that, hey, I made these. And the bonus on top of all that is you can make these ahead of time, right? I mean, get a Sunday where you're not doing anything. Invite some friends over. Hey, I got this great recipe to share with you. Let's have a spring roll making party. Bring some wine and let's chit chat about our week and you know, spend some time together while we're prepping our spring rolls for the freezer to get us prepared. You have a good visit with your friends or your family, and you get something done at the same time and you're having a good time. It's all in how you look at it. Here's the other thing as well I want you guys to think about. I'm going to give you guys some homework. Haha, you got it. We all have cookbooks. I get that. And hey, I'm not an idiot. I realize that you guys have other cookbooks other than mine. I get that. And that's all good. A lot of the cookbooks you received as gifts maybe, but there's a lot, probably the majority of them you bought yourself. And we've all been there. You had a store, you see a cookbook, or maybe you saw it online, good reviews. Hey, this looks really good. And you're flipping through the virtual pages online or whatever, wherever you bought your cookbook from. You're doling out your hard-earned cash at the store and you buy the cookbook and you think, oh yeah, this is going to be good. I'm going to make that. And maybe you've made one or two, or more than likely, it just ended up on your bookshelf, your cookbook shelf, right? And oh yeah, I'll get to it. You know what it is? As humans, we hate pain. We love pleasure. And it's emotionally painful to, on your own, learn a new recipe. Because we get in these cooking habits, right? We get in these cooking habits. We make what we know because it's easy. We know the steps. We know it turns out. We know it's great. We know everybody loves it. And it's easy for us to make because we've made it 100 times. So we keep making those same things over and over again. And we forget about all these lovely cookbooks that we have on our cookbook shelf that we bought. And so what I want you to do is pull off one of those books, one of the books that you bought yourself, you doled out your hard-earned money for. I want you to open it up, relive that memory when you were looking through it the first time, and find those recipes that excited you and actually make them this time. Get in there and make them. You're not going to become familiar with them by it sitting on the shelf. You need to actually bust them open and start making them, and you'll become more comfortable with them. So this is why we do the classes as well. I mean, let's be honest. I said it right at the very beginning. This recipe is on page 22 of Cooking Around the World with Chef Dez. Why do you need to come to a class? I already gave you the recipe. It's right in the book. But by me holding your hand virtually through this recipe, you become more comfortable with it, and hopefully you love it and becomes a regular thing you make. As with every single class we do. I mean, don't get me wrong. Some classes are brand new recipes, right? And you get a new recipe. They're not in the book, but a lot of times they're already in the book. But I just want you to see how easy it is, give you the pro tips in the recipe to make it easier for you and just get you familiar with it. I tell people all the time, hey, look, you have a kitchen at home, right? You're going to eat food the rest of your life. Cooking is never going to go away. You might as well find a way to get comfortable with it. You might as well find a way to explore new dishes, make it exciting for your palate, because you're going to be cooking the rest of your life. Have fun with it. You know, do different things. And that's why we do this, to really inspire people. And you go on these sites on Facebook that are like cooking for beginners, and the questions that people are asking other people, like there's so many people out there that have no idea how to cook, you know, and even people that are seasoned cooks. I can still give you some great tips. And man, I could just help out so many people if they just bit the bullet, took a chance and say, you know what, I'm going to try $20. I'm just going to go to this class and learn how to make this thing, and realize that the value that you're getting in return is.
I think you need to advertise that you're easier and more accessible than those stupid meal kit things that people are doing.
That's a good idea.
Because this is way more accessible than a meal kit, because now I know the spicing as opposed to the spicing they just give you.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, you got it.
And it's transferable skills to different dinners that you're already doing at home to make them better.
Yes, for sure. You can't know everything. It's impossible. So come to a class, experience it, have some good conversation with some great people, and learn a few things that just enhances all your meal making from this point on, and just explore some new dishes. There is just so much value. And that's why price is affordable. It's $20. I mean, big deal, right? It's not a lot of money for what you're getting in return. It's really not. And you have something to do on a Wednesday night. Oh, I smell them in the oven. Man, they smell good. Let me bring you over. Here we go. Have a look at this. Yeah, look at those. I mean, nice and golden brown is what you're looking for. And because we created all those layers of the buttering and the folding and stuff, they're just so flaky and delicate, and that filling is over the top. Like, these are going to be a guaranteed hit at whatever you serve them for. You're entertaining over the holiday season, you're just feeding your family, or whatever the case may be. Is there some work involved? Yes, there is. I get that, right? But in the end, you're going to have a fantastic dish, one that you can make ahead of time, pop in the freezer, bake them off. You're really going to love these. I'm not going to bite into this right now. I don't recommend you do either. If you bake them off, you should let these sit for at least 10 minutes.
Question. So the leftover phyllo, is it good for anything, or are you better just to turf it?
Perfect question. Thank you very much. Wrap it back up, put it back in your fridge, unless you're going to do it tonight. But really, put anything in there. Open up a can of pie filling. Make little dessert ones, dust them with icing sugar at the end. Put anything in there. You could wrap that around a piece of chicken, some prawns with some pepper jelly and some brie cheese. I mean, be creative. Those pastry sheets are not going to last forever, but wrap them nice and tight with some saran wrap, put them back in your fridge, and you'll have them for the week to do anything with. Put a piece of fish in there. Anything, almost anything. Just make sure whatever you're putting in there is not too liquidy, okay? But same thing, butter the layers and stuff like that, and it's going to be great. Good question. Thanks, Karen. There you have it, folks. Phyllo baked pork spring rolls from the Chef Dez Zoom classes. You're going to love these. See you next time, folks.